mentioned that the need for, we spoke earlier and you mentioned the need for a more dynamic creative process.
Yes.
Real-time, building real-time creative to meet the needs of the dynamic and volatility of the media channels that you're dealing with. How are you guys doing that at Vonage? And you also mentioned some experimentation with something called flash talking.
Yes, so we are exploring that. It's certainly something we want to do more of. We are partnering with flash talking currently in our campaigns from a consumer side, and we're getting great learnings from it. And that allows us to deliver dynamic creative based on behavior across the internet. I think that's an interesting place for us to be, but I also think we need to explore some programmatic creative. If you've heard of companies like PaperG, there's some unique differences between them. And I think for us, as a fairly significant media advertiser and investment in the marketplace, I think it's important for us just to be testing to understand what makes most sense for us as it relates to not only the media and the media we're buying and testing from programmatic, but also on the creative. And like I said earlier, we really just want to bring the creative folks into the conversation much sooner than we have historically.
Right, so the creatives in terms of advertising creatives or media creatives, or both?
I think it's both, and I think it starts internally. We've been working really hard with our peers on the creative side just to help them understand. It's such a dynamic business as it relates to the media, and so what was there tomorrow could change today. And so we want them to be involved, and then as they become more comfortable and understand the world that we're living in, we want to also bring our agency. So, I'm a huge fan of collaboration across the agency, and everyone needs to work together. And so that's the steps we're taking to make sure that everyone's on the same page and we can, deliver the right creative message and experience and media, at the appropriate time to the consumer.
Well, you're making a really good point about getting the creatives in the room and earlier in the process, at the front end of the process, and understanding how to align. But right now it does seem like the creativity, the art of marketing, it really isn't aligning all that well with the automation that you have, as a brand marketer, have been required kind of to embrace. So how do you get creativity and automation, whether that be in programmatic media? How do you get those two things to coexist in a better way,
I think
effectively?
I think it's a great question. I think it's going to take some time, and we have to get there at some point. Because effective advertising and effective content, it's going to come from the placement, the message, and the journey that you're taking. So we have to understand, people are going through a journey when they're engaging with your brand, and we need to be developing the creative that speaks to them. So what we're doing from an upper funnel may be far different than a lower funnel execution, and we just have to educate each other. There's certain things that the media folks can learn from the creative and vice versa. And I think as long as we're having those conversations, we can at least reach a point to do that. But I'm a huge huge fan of the art. I often say, and even in the media world, there's some things you just got to wing it. We're maniacal about our data at Vonage, and sometimes it's about gut, and there is art to the media side of thing, and we have to be sensitive to that on the creative side, that there is an opportunity to pursue some science from a creative perspective as well.